The First World War marked a dramatic shift in the way armies fought and defended themselves, and one of the most significant developments of this period was the extensive and systematic use of snipers. Although sharpshooters had existed in previous conflicts, it was during World War I that the role of the sniper became highly specialized, technologically enhanced, and psychologically impactful on the battlefield. The introduction of rifles equipped with telescopic sights fundamentally transformed long-range combat, especially in the static, entrenched conditions of trench warfare. At the early stages of the war, the German Imperial Army were the first to recognize the full potential of scoped rifles. They deployed them strategically across their trench systems and quickly demonstrated their effectiveness. German snipers could eliminate exposed enemy soldiers with terrifying precision, often firing at targets who revealed no more than the top of their heads above sandbags and parapets. This advantage alarmed the British and French forces, who soon understood that their traditional approach based largely on line-of-sight combat left them highly vulnerable. As soon as they observed how devastatingly accurate German snipers were, the British and French began introducing scoped rifles of their own to balance the battlefield. The scope was revolutionary because it allowed a marksman to sight, lock onto, and accurately hit targets at distances that were previously impractical. Beyond raw accuracy, the enhanced vision provided by magnifying optics meant that small, fleeting movements, such as the slightest lifting of a helmet or the peeking of a face, were enough to trigger a lethal shot. Snipers, positioned well camouflaged behind foliage, within dugouts, or hidden in raised terrain like barns, factory ruins, or shattered church towers, became incredibly difficult to detect. Their ability to disappear after firing made them seem almost ghost-like to ordinary infantry soldiers. The effect of this capability was psychological as much as physical. The fear of being watched through a hidden rifle scope caused immense anxiety among troops stationed along the front lines. Soldiers developed habits such as crawling rather than walking upright, communicating below sandbag height, or using mirrors to scan over the parapet rather than revealing their heads. Many trench diaries from the war describe sniper bullets cracking overhead within seconds of movement. The constant threat created a state of paranoia, leading to significant restrictions in troop mobility during daylight hours. However, the snipers' need to operate quickly also made them vulnerable. Because every visible head could be an opportunity for a shot, snipers often fired the instant a silhouette appeared. Counter-sniper units realized they could exploit this instinctive reaction by baiting the enemy. It was from this strategy that one of the most ingenious deception tactics of the war emerged: the use of sniper decoys, most famously the papier-mâché dummy head. Before the war, papier-mâché was widely used in entertainment, children's toys, decorative fair pieces, and amusement park displays. It was cheap, easy to mold, lightweight, and readily available. These properties made it ideal for military deception purposes. Camouflage divisions, often made up of artists, sculptors, theatrical craftsmen, and model makers, began experimenting with realistic false heads, designed to mimic real soldiers. Working from improvised workshops behind the lines, these creators sculpted heads with striking attention to detail. The goal was not merely visual similarity, but authenticity when observed through a magnified optical lens. Under a sniper scope, imperfections would be immediately noticeable, so extremely lifelike characteristics were essential. Artists shaped noses, lips, ears, and jawlines with precision, even replicating natural asymmetry. They painted skin tones carefully, adding subtle shading to mimic pores, stubble, freckles, and shadowing. Some dummy heads displayed facial features such as fatigue lines or dirty smudges to match the real conditions of trench life. In some cases, wigs or real hair were attached to increase authenticity. The realism was so believable that soldiers often studied the finished heads with binoculars to ensure they could withstand close visual inspection. Beyond visual craftsmanship, trick designers equipped selected dummy heads with added details that increased their chance of drawing a sniper's attention. One clever addition involved inserting a thin surgical rubber tube through the mouth of the dummy. A cigarette was placed between its lips. A soldier behind the trench wall would blow air into the tube, and the cigarette would produce smoke, appearing as though a soldier was calmly standing and smoking. Since snipers instinctively targeted motion or recognizable human behavior, this illusion was highly effective. Dummy heads were mounted on long rods or poles so soldiers could raise them gradually above trench parapets. A typical technique involved lifting the head slowly, tilting or turning it slightly, and allowing it to linger long enough that opposing snipers would believe they had spotted a genuine target. If the deception succeeded, an enemy sniper would fire and leave behind a bullet entry hole. This hole was extremely valuable. Once a dummy head was shot, troops used the bullet impact angle to triangulate the sniper's firing position. Observers stationed at multiple vantage points noted the angle and direction of the penetration. By intersecting observed traction lines, soldiers could determine an approximate sniper nest. In addition to triangulation, another innovative method involved inserting a compact periscope through the dummy head after it had been fired upon. This allowed soldiers to safely raise the periscope in the exact same position that had just drawn fire, offering a direct line of sight without risking human life. After successfully identifying a sniper's location, armies used several methods to neutralize the threat. Counter-snipers were deployed to locate and engage the enemy marksmen. In other cases, artillery units bombarded the suspected sniper nesting area. Sometimes, machine gun units saturated the position with fire. Snipers were expensive to train and strategically valuable, so eliminating them had an immediate tactical effect. It allowed regular infantry movement, improved trench visibility, and, in some sectors, boosted morale. Historically, British forces were credited with pioneering and refining the dummy head technique. Early in the war, British troops suffered high casualty rates due to German sharpshooting superiority. German snipers, better trained initially and equipped with optics earlier than their rivals, dominated no-man's land zones. British soldiers joked grimly that raising your head was suicide. Furious from early losses, the British military began recruiting sculptors, scenery makers, and professional illusionists, even including stage prop artists from London theaters, to assist in developing anti-sniper technologies. The result was a level of craftsmanship bordering on theatrical realism. Once proven successful, this deception method was quickly adopted by other Allied forces, including the French and eventually portions of the Italian front. German troops also experimented with similar techniques, although their use was less widespread, likely because Germany maintained a stronger sniper advantage early on and therefore relied less on deception strategies. Nonetheless, by the latter stages of the war, multiple armies used dummy heads as a standard tactical device. The adoption of decoy heads symbolized a key shift in warfare philosophy. World War I was full of technological innovation, but the dummy head represented something unique, an intersection of artistry, psychology, and survival. The decoys did not involve machines, electricity, engines, or explosives. Instead, they relied on illusion, timing, and human instinct. Their value came not from force, but from provoking a reaction that exposed hidden danger. The psychological element of the dummy head was especially important. Snipers relied on invisibility for them to operate safely. They needed secrecy. When dummy heads forced them to reveal themselves, the power dynamic changed. Soldiers in trenches felt temporarily empowered because the silent, unseen enemy could be tricked into giving up his invisibility. In retrospect, sniper decoys exemplified a tactical creativity unique to trench warfare. They demonstrated how inexpensive material, papier-mâché, paint, sticks, some rubber tubing, could influence battlefield outcomes. In a war defined by artillery barrages, industrialized weapons, and mass casualties, the success of something deceptively simple stands out. This innovation marked an early chapter in military deception strategies. Later, wars would develop inflatable tanks, fake airfields, artificial lights simulating troop movement, and elaborate camouflage nets. But the dummy head remains remembered as one of the earliest field-tested psychological warfare devices of the 20th century. Ultimately, the papier-mâché dummy head was not merely a prop. It was a life-saving invention, giving soldiers moments of safety and enabling counter-sniper victories. Born from desperation, shaped by artistry, and deployed with precision, it remains one of the most unusual yet ingenious inventions to emerge from the trenches of World War I.
Clever, really.